Hello and welcome back to TCB MLS. If you're not sure what TCB MLS is, it is a podcast / vodcast to do with all things MLS and kind of American soccer and kind of the North American soccer. So sit back, relax and enjoy. So, of course, last week we were debating the topics of what were we debating? Let me just find out. We were discussing LAFC and MLS mileage in terms of how far teams have to travel, as well as we were discussing Toronto FC with their win in the Canadian Championship and how the new Canadian Premier League, which will be starting in 2019, will affect the Canadian Championship and the Canadian teams. The questions that we asked you to start a debate on last time out are here. Sadly, none of you got back to me or commenting wise, but I did put a few polls out on Twitter which were related to the subject. The first poll I put out was about how many qualification spaces should Canadian teams get into the CONCACAF North American Champions League as such. Currently, they have one which comes through the Canadian Championship, and the winner of that gets to go into the North American Championship. But I asked you what you think the new number should be, so I put 1, 2, 3, or 4 as the options. And 67% of you said 2, and 33% of you said 3. So it looks like the vast majority of you think that the new Canadian Premier League will boost up, or should boost up the amount of qualification places Canadian teams get. And I would agree with you. As for the number of 2 or 3, I would say 2 to start with, and then see how well the Canadian Premier League progresses. And as for getting into it, I think there should be 1 for the Canadian Championship and, of course, 1 for winning the Canadian Premier League. And that'll make it a bit fairer so Canadian Premier League teams can kind of get into the North American Champions League. And then as for the LAFC and kind of you MLS mileage debate, I asked you about LAFC's striker situation. Of course, they've got Marco Urena, Christian Ramirez, and Adama Diomande, who have recently joined, as well as Christian Ramirez recently joining. And I just wanted to know your opinions on, if they were all fit at this point in time, which striker would you choose to start? And overwhelmingly, you said 100% Adama Diomande, which I completely agree with, because he was absolutely unstoppable when he was playing for LAFC before he got his injury, and I can see him continuing that. So that kind of wraps up our talk about last week's debates. So let's go on to this week's debates, which will be Rival Week. Kind of what is it? And then the next topic will be Columbus Crew. So with no further ado, I shall get into the first debate topic. So the first debate topic for this week is Rival Week. So I didn't realise this was a thing, but basically what happens in the MLS, if I'm right here, that a lot of the rivalry games are played in the space of a week. So this week we've had games such as NYFC versus NYRB, or New York Red Bulls. Then we're going to be having Chicago Columbus. Actually, that's just happened. And of course we can have El Traffico, Houston versus Dallas, Orlando versus Atlanta. So I guess this is an idea to maybe boost the viewership of the MLS in 1 week. I'm not sure, maybe just to build a bit of hype. But I didn't know it was a thing, and I think it's a neat idea, especially as the games are going to be separated from time. I think all MLS games are, but they kind of, you can watch one after the other if you want, really. But it's a really cool idea. I like it. I love watching the LAFC versus LA Galaxy derby at the beginning of the season, the first El Traffico. So if any of these games or anything like that, I'll really, really enjoy watching the highlights. I think the LAFC LA Galaxy game will be, if better, if not, I don't know if it can be better though than that first time they played, because I watched that. I bought Sky Pass to watch it, and I did not regret it. I don't know if the next one's going to live up to it, but if it's if it's even half as good as the first time round, it would be amazing. And hopefully LAFC, I know I'm a bit biased, hopefully LAFC will put some goals past LA Galaxy. And I think this week can actually be an advert for the MLS for me, and show why it's such a good league to watch, and why people from the UK, say, where I'm from, should watch more of the MLS, or keep more in contact and kind of like keep up to date with the MLS. So that's kind of the introduction to this debate topic. The questions I'm going to ask you this week are: what's the biggest derby in the MLS in your opinion? Is it going to be the new derby in El Traffico? Is it going to be the New York City derby, or I think they call it the Hudson derby? Or is it going to be the Texas derby? Is it going to be even maybe Chicago versus Columbus? I want you to know your opinions on this, and let me know what you think. So then, what are your opinions on having a rivalry week? Do you like having all the rival games in one week, or would you rather just have it as they come? Because that means that it can happen in vital periods for some teams, whereas if it's all in 1 week, it's a bit odd, if you know what I mean. So let me know your opinions on that. And then just a personal question for me, not really a debate question, but I just want to know, when did the MLS rivalry week start? Because I'm not sure when it did. So that's all the questions for this topic. You can, I'll just have have them up on screen now. And of course, you can get in contact with us via Twitter, which is at Box Commentary, or via Instagram, which is also at Box Commentary. Of course, you can comment down below as well, and if you're on iTunes, just go on over to our social medias. But yeah, go get your opinions onto our social medias, and we'll read them out for next episode. And of course, I'll be running polls as well. So then on to the next debate topic for this week, and that is Columbus Crew. So on Wednesday night at an event in Austin, basically the owners of Columbus Crew decided what a new badge for Austin would be, because of course, if you didn't know, Columbus Crew are currently going through a period where they're in threat of losing their club, if that makes any sense. The owners of Columbus Crew have a clause somewhere in their contract with the MLS to move their franchise to Austin, basically ceasing Columbus Crew's existence, which is not great at all, really. But yeah, they've released a new badge for Austin FC, which kind of shows it's probably likely to happen, this move. The badge is green and white in a black background with a tree. I mean, it's a nice badge, but me personally, I think this is a horrible thing to happen. It's not nice for the fans of Columbus Crew, who will have no one to support. It's not nice for the new fans of Austin, because maybe they've been waiting for an MLS team, because of course there was, I think, the Austin Scorpios, who were in the second division of American football or soccer at one point. But now they have to have a club that's stolen another club's identity almost, and I don't know if that would sit well with me if I was an Austin soccer fan. Columbus Crew, it's not like they've been a struggling franchise either. They currently lie in fourth in the Eastern Conference. They've got a very good side. They've gotten to 3 playoffs in the last 4 seasons, getting to 1 final at least, with but losing to Portland Timbers in 2015. They've got a great manager, and Greg Berhalter. I can't pronounce Berhalter. Is that how you pronounce it? Well, he's a really, really good manager. If you haven't checked out Tifo's video on Columbus Crew tactics, Columbus Crew, for me, are one of the most tactically astute teams in the MLS. So it'd be a really shame if we to lose them. And of course, attendance-wise, they hit pretty good attendances. And I can't imagine losing my club as a fan. If I lost Swansea, I don't know what I would do. And especially if I lost Swansea to another team who were setting up. It just feels wrong for me. So the debate questions for this week will be, if they get the go-ahead in moving the club to Austin, would the new Austin club become a hated club, such as MK Dons? Because if you're an American soccer fan, you might not know the story, but MK Dons are a football team based in Milton Keynes Dons. What happened is they wanted to set up a football club, and they wanted to start in a higher league. So what they did is they bought Wimbledon FC, who are currently, I think, in League 2 or League 1, and they basically destroyed the club, if that makes any sense. They kind of ceased it to existence, changed its names and changed its location to Milton Keynes, and Wimbledon ceased to exist. And it hasn't been until about, I think it was about 2 years after they set up a new Wimbledon club. But it was horrible for the fans of Wimbledon, who basically lost their club. But do you think this new Austin club will become a hated club? If you're a soccer fan in Austin, are you excited or are you worried about? Are you excited or are you worried / annoyed about this new development in a MLS team in Austin? And do you sympathise with these Columbus Crew fans? And then the last question is a bit more kind of, for me, or more than anything, what can we do to stop this move from happening? Let me know down in the commenting below, and of course, go check us out on Twitter, which is at Box Commentary, as I said earlier, and Instagram, which is also at Box Commentary. But yeah, the questions should be coming up now, so get involved in these debates, and yeah, go for it. So that wraps up the debate part of this this vodcast and podcast. So that kind of brings the show almost to an end. We just have one quick more thing to do, and that is give you the answers to last week's question and give you a new question for this week. So the question from last week was, which states from either Canada or the USA lay home to more than one MLS team? And the answer is Texas with FC Dallas and Houston Dynamo, California with San Jose Earthquakes, LAFC and LA Galaxy, and New York State with NYFC and New York Red Bulls. So very well done if you got that right. This week's question is maybe a simple one for a few of you, but might be a bit harder for others as well. And that question is, can you name the 3 defunct MLS clubs? Yes, the 3 defunct MLS clubs. Thank you for listening and watching to this MLS Vodcast / podcast. I do recommend go checking out other MLS Vodcasts and podcasts that we have made. And of course, I do recommend checking out other podcasts we do, such as the League One that Jake does and the main one we do. Of course, Jake mentioned in his League One podcast, if you are a listener, that we'll be alternating weeks with the MLS Vodcast and his League One podcast, but that won't start until September. So basically what's going to happen is Jake's going to do a League One podcast every other Thursday, but the MLS Vodcast will be going on every single Friday until September, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But yes, thank you for listening. Of course, get involved in the debate topics. Enjoy your footballing weekend. Don't forget to be awesome, and see ya. I don't wear an MLS shirt, and what happens? I can't even speak today. I'm sorry for all of the blah, blah, blah. But yeah. Anyways, see ya.